Hello and good evening. Welcome to this webinar in the Guru Gyan series. We are fortunate today to have Mr. Ramdev Agarwal with us today to talk on the interesting and relevant topic for today's times. Who does not know Ramdev ji? He is an investment guru, a value investor, a prolific thinker, and an expert on investment topics. He is also a creator of QGLP, Quality, Growth, Longevity, and Favorable Price, a leader of Motilal Oswal's well-recognized research team. Author of annual wealth creation study for almost 25 years, he is a regular expert appearing in media. Above all, he is humble and a constant learner. He is willing to share his knowledge and wisdom with all. So now let us also benefit out of his presence with us today. Ramdev ji, welcome to this webinar and thank you for taking time out for being with us. Now, let us start the discussion. Ramdev ji, markets since 2017, 2018 have changed for most investors. Regulations, disruptions, competition, etc., have led to sharp polarization in the markets. Rallies have been very thin, and in terms of participation, broader markets has not performed. Investors' wealth has not grown in line with the indices. You have been an avid watcher of markets for more than 25 years. What, in your opinion, has changed, and how should investors deal with these changes? What are the learnings that they should take from these turbulent times? Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Deepak, and good evening, friends. It's a pleasure to be talking to all the HDFC Securities patrons, customers, and I'm thankful for this opportunity. Now, I mean, when I was asking what should we talk today, so they said your recent learnings in the stock market and the market outlooks and all. Just one second. Sorry. So, one of the things is that I've been in the market for 35 years. I mean, 87 I started this company, and we have seen all sorts of things in this 35 years. I mean, craziest possible thing, but this is yet another craziness. This COVID is a completely different ballgame. In 87, when I started, we are coming off 85 bull run, VP Singh and Rajiv Gandhi. And we took a plunge without knowing what is bear market, bull market. We had no clue at that point of time. We took plunge that we will make a career in the stock market. Two chartered accountants coming together and I mean, you can imagine there were no internet, no books, I mean, magazines were not there. Even Business India, Business World had just started coming in. That primitive was a kind of a market, and balance sheets were very difficult to come by. Yearly one result used to come, and the balance sheet used to come after 6 months of the result. And yet, if you could find the balance sheet and read and go and buy the stock, you could still make money. So that it was that inefficient, and this thing, the stock prices between Ahmedabad and Mumbai, you could find a gap of 3 to 4%. I mean, of course, Ahmedabad was a spot market, and Mumbai was T+15 market. So that was the actually start of the Motilal Oswal, when you had that kind of inefficiency, and yet the knowledge of the market was very, very thin, and there were very few chartered accountants into the market. We were the early ones. So the confidence in the market was very high, but I think experience was not there. So 3 years we struggled, 3-4 years we struggled. It was a bear market. In 1990, we bought a membership. Somehow we put all the savings and little borrowing from the friends and relatives and all. We put up 25 lakhs and bought the membership. And the moment I started sending 16 sub-brokers into the market, the Harshad Mehta bull run happened. And I think it happened only for us. It was unprecedented bull run. In 18 months, we made 30 crores. See, we had no clue when we started 4 years back. We had no clue that this is something which is knocking your door. And can you believe 2 hostel mates who were struggling for 300, 400 rupees kind of per month kind of expenses had 30 crores in the pocket, and then the market crashed, which had to crash. It did crash, and we were left with 10 crores. Even that was a lot of money. That was a lot of money. And then we said nobody can throw us out from the market. We bought our offices, we bought little house, and we started building our kind of we started putting our show or whatever you say. And then serious career building started. And 7-8 years again was struggle. I mean, like it was a bear market. But the fun was you had no television, you had no cable network, you had no live stock market available anywhere. I mean, even US, I mean, I didn't know Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, these things exist till about 92, 93. I didn't know them. Then India opened up. And post 92 crisis, this is the biggest change. In fact, what India is today is because of 92 crisis, where we had to send the gold and we had a forex currency crisis. I think our forex reserve was about $1.5–2 billion, and it was not good enough to even cover 1 or 2 months of imports. Then they had to take a I think $60 million or $100 million line at the government of India, and for that they had to send collateral. Can you believe this? In 91, 92. And then IMF, yeah, and then IMF had to step in to give a structural adjustment loan of $5–6 billion, and for that they put the conditions that you have to liberalize the economy. Bankruptcy led us to go to IMF, and IMF put the conditions of liberalizing the economy. That is the real story I'm telling you. And people give credit to Manmohan Singh and Prime Minister Rao or somebody, but it was IMF who forced us. And then it was kind of I had not heard a word called liberalization. And 95, 96, then software thing happened. And in 2000, India was in a global software map. Just see, in 5 years, India was in a global software map. Why I'm telling all this, I'll tell you. In 2000, my 80% of the portfolio was software companies. And one was Infosys, and other was all sorts of NIT and other stuff. 40% of my portfolio was Infosys. And so you get some insights and you buy into that. So, and then it had to crash. Again, it crashed. So my 100 became 30. That 10 became 100, 100 became 30. Then 2002-03 was very bad. It was serious recession. I think that was 1 year when two-wheeler production actually went down. And we used to, I mean, markets were so bad. We used to pray God that at least 4-5 stock यदि 52 new high में आ जाए तो थोड़ा अच्छा लगेगा. 1 or 2 months we made losses also in broking after 15 years. Then we thought we are in bad career. Then the mother of all the bull run started, 2003 to 2008.
Yeah.
And there my 30 crores became 550 crores.
Sure.
See, one of the things was, I mean, I was voracious stock buyer right from beginning. I heard about Buffett in 95, but I was a voracious stock buyer. No cash call, 100% stocks, irrespective of the market. You didn't know what is the market. I mean, market तेजी में मंदी में हमको कोई मतलब नहीं था. Market है. So whatever is the brokerage today, if I earn 1 lakh rupees, I'll buy the stock worth 1 lakh rupees. And I've never seen money. I've seen only stocks in my portfolio. That's how I've been living. And so we have taken the downside, upside of the market, like really as a part of a sport. Some days you score 100, some days you score duck, and that's how. So market has not been a problem for me because I don't care whether market is in bull run or bear run. We never try to time the market. We were 100% invested in the market throughout from 87 till date, and it has always been uncertain. Let me tell you. And always been unpredictable in the sense that what opportunity is staring at you, you don't know. You just don't know. Even today, what I'm saying is that today you don't know what opportunity is waiting for India as a whole. And the building block is already there. Whether it is collapse of oil, whether it is China becoming untrustworthy in everybody's mind worldwide, or whether it is our forex reserve crossing $500 billion, See, we started our journey in 92 with 1 billion. We started with the forex crisis. Today we are sitting on $500 billion, and every week is accruing us 3, 4, 5 billion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are changing landscape. I'm just what I can see, I'm telling you. But what is waiting for you, you don't know. How big an opportunity for a country of this size is waiting for you, and you are in a very opportune kind of situation for various things, and geopolitical, and what Modi Sahab has done, what this government has done, what we stand for, English speaking. I mean, there are a lot of things which have happened in the last 15 years. So I have seen, and it's an entrepreneurial economy. This is an economy of entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs, you are even during the struggle period between 91, in 92, 93, you gave birth to Infosys. Your HDFC Bank got born in 95, 96. You could buy entire HDFC Bank for 1,000 crores.
Correct.
You could buy entire Infosys for 200-300 crores. And it's not that these are only two stories. There are so many stories like this. I mean, these are amongst the best ones. And it's not that it has, I mean, we are talking about it now. It gave you opportunity every year it has given you opportunity.
Right.
So what I'm saying is this is a country of growth. This is a country of entrepreneurs. This is a country of opportunities. And this is also a country of uncertainties. A lot of uncertainties come. I mean, Supreme Court will give some judgment which will spoil the show for many guys, for many years. But I'll give you one incident. Recently, I was stuck in MB Valley for 55, 60 days. So I was playing golf. I was trying to play golf. So I went to the golf course, and there I used to see one mango tree, which it was loaded with mangoes. But those mangoes were not, you cannot pluck it. Even with that stick, you couldn't bring it down. So I said, ठीक है यार, नहीं तो नहीं, अभी क्या करेंगे? One day I went, just 10 days before I came. One day what happened was there was a storm in the evening. When I went to play again, I saw all the mangoes were lying on the ground. The storm had brought down all the mangoes on the ground. I actually picked up 45 or 50 of them and brought it home. So what I'm saying is every storm has an opportunity. It leaves some mangoes somewhere. We have to find those mangoes. I mean, past is past. We have to move on. So COVID is something like that. It is turning point for us, turning point for many businesses, turning point for investment also. Where all opportunities will come, we have to keep our eyes and ears open. A lot of things will change. I mean, there are so many trends we are talking here because we are still into this. We are still not out of it. And the world doesn't know how to negotiate. We are into biggest unknown. And all the wise people in the world, those who are 80, 90 years old, say whether it is Munger, whether it is Buffett, whether it is Druckenmiller, whether it is Howard Marks, whomsoever you hear, they are not able to understand what's happening in the economy and why market is so jubilant. So there is a disconnect between the current market movement, recent market movements, and what the wise people they think. So that is, and I am as I mean, I don't care actually, unless it is a big crash that hurts me. I also feel bad, and more so I feel bad for the people's money which we are managing, because I'm pretty fine. I will start from zero here, so it doesn't matter to me 30, 40% down, 50% down. But I can tell you one thing. I have seen 3 times 65% correction in my portfolio. And mentally, I am always ready to see 50% correction from any level, from reduced level to further 50%. See, once you are see what will happen. But if your expectation is like that, then nothing can become, nothing can hurt you permanently. It cannot be fatal. I mean, you should not be shocked. Heart attack हो गया, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. गिर गया भाई, गिर गया, क्या अंतर पड़ता है? मतलब कंपनी तो आपके पास जो, and this probably one of the reason is that I run a listed company, because I know my listed company has cash flow, clients and customers and everything. Cash flow I can see, but the stock price can be up 3x, down 60%, 50%. I don't know how the market works, who puts it up to 3x and who brings it down by 50%. That is the market's call. And many times your own employees end up selling you below book value. So abhi kya karoge usko? So markets function in the short term, particularly markets are very, it could be extremely irrational. And this I've seen it with a personal experience. And it can be extremely irrational on both sides. It can be irrational on upside, and it
Yeah.
can be irrational on the downside also.
Sure.
And our job as an active player is to encash on that irrationality. And I can tell you maximum irrationality is right now, and it will remain so. If you see the results of the companies which are coming out in the quarterlies, you will find that there is a massive disconnect in the the companies which are coming out with good results. You see the June quarter result, you'll be stunned to see the gap between what is the price and what is the result on both sides. There will be some companies which would have done very well, and yet the stock price has been beaten down by 60%. And of course, there are a whole lot of companies which will be down 80%, 90%, or maybe outright into loss. And yet they might be commanding 100 P and things like that of 20. No impact on that. They could be all-time high. So then you will find maximum disconnect, and here is an opportunity for you who knows the value. I mean, Buffett's one quote: "Price is what you pay, value is what you get," is the most relevant. So, I mean, this is a time if you are really a good swimmer, even in this turbulent water, you can swim. You know swimming, you can swim. And if you don't know swimming, even in very silent water, if you don't know swimming, you will sink. You will sink very silently. Here, you will sink with a lot of noise. So, I'm telling you, market underlying is always turbulent, always uncertain. And you can do very well in a bad time, and you can do very badly in very good time. So what happens is that there is always a roller, there is always a that belt. You know, when you go to the airport, you walkway is there. So the market is like a walkway. If you are walking on the walkway, the walkway is going at a pace. So you think you are walking very fast, but it is not that you are walking that fast. It is the walkway which is going at some speed. So when market is rising, you get the benefit of that walkway. Right now, market is probably reverse. You are going from other side. Market is actually going down, or actually it is bumpy, and you are trying to cross through. You are finding it extremely tough. So this is the time you got to use your maximum best of the skill, build best of the portfolio. This is the time to build a fantastic portfolio, and this is also the time to weed out the bad ones, because the bad ones cannot hide now. A company which is bad, it will show the color. Very rarely, out of 100, I can tell you, the bad companies will not survive. And that is the biggest opportunity for the good companies, because economy will come back. Everybody, yesterday I was talking to Mr. Harimohan Bangar.
Yeah.
So he said that yes, current year is going to be washed out. Let's not try to speculate. First quarter is going to get washed out and things will improve slowly. But he's saying that current year, whatever is the prediction for 5% decline in the economy, whatever comes, but next year is going to be a bumper year. Next year is definitely, now market will punish you this year for the decline, but next year you can see it can be very euphoric for the bumper year. Almost everybody is telling me, I've talked to so many companies, everybody at least they're preparing for a bumper year in 21-22, because all the pent up and all what they have not done in, जितनी शादियां नहीं हुई इस साल में, अगले साल में 2 शादियां होंगी. Double marriages ना India, I mean like 8 to 10% of GDP marriages only. So marriages तो होंगे ही होंगे. So I mean they'll buy crazy amount of jewelry, they'll buy I mean hotels will be booked. I mean all the things are going to happen. I'm just presuming that COVID is out by March or something like that. So I mean whether it happens immediately after March or it happens after say little more prolonged, say June, July and all. But post COVID there is going to be a bumper 12 months. And markets are not going to wait for, market will not remain depressed when these bumper numbers are going to come. Market typically commits mistake in extrapolating the current condition. Everybody knows that current, this quarter is bad and people are extrapolating this quarter into the future. It is not going to be like that. The way Q4 is not Q1, Q1 is not going to be the Q4 next year. And that's where a little bit of optimism is there, I think. Some sanity is there, and that's why a lot of good companies' prices are intact, and probably some of them are doing well also. So that's the one part of what my understanding of the current situation is. And one of the things is Buffett on 2nd May, I think it was one of the best speech. If anybody loves Buffett, must listen. and read the transcript or listen to him at least in YouTube. And there he says, I mean, one of the funny thing is that for last 30 years he has been citing the badness of airlines business from 95 onwards. He first time invested in 95, 96 in USA or something, $300 million or something, and he lost some money, or he had a bad experience. After that, every year he used to bajao, this airline business. And in 2007, he wrote a paper in his annual letter. He said the worst quality of business, worst type of business is airline business. And 4 years back, he ended up biggest bull in the airline business. And he buys 10% in all the 4 companies. And abhi jaise COVID hua, he sold all 4 of them at loss. After holding for 3-4 years, he sold at loss. And he said, this was a mistake. And there is no mistake of the management. It is my mistake of judging the quality of the business. He says, the businesses go from good to bad. Nobody's got in judging that whether the business will remain good forever. So businesses have tendency to become driven by event or whatever. The good business can become bad. But as an investor, our job is to keep buying good businesses with best of your effort. And only the strike rate will decide whether you are a good investor or not. Mistakes everybody will commit.
Correct.
So nobody can get 10 out of 10 right. There will be 2-3 bad apples. I mean, 7 out of 10 right, I think you are God. So there will be 3 mistakes. So when you are giving money to the professional managers, or you are managing money, don't be disturbed about failures. That is a part of life. There will be failure. And if you are winning in 7 and losing in 3 or 4, it's fine. So it is all about the strike rate. So that's what I learned on 2nd May. That was, I mean, I used to get very disturbed. यार ये कैसे हो गया, मतलब हम इतने गंदे कंपनी कैसे खरीद लिए, मतलब despite my QGLP framework and all, and it is something is looking bad. Greedy तो हैं हम. So I mean the greed, in stock market all people are greedy, and the greed actually overtakes the sanity at some point of time. So we have to avoid that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think another thing is that I think this is the last point. I think there's a lot of questions about mid cap and large cap. I think, see, one of the things, even in this Buffett seminar again, he has insisted a lot, and always he has been insisting on what you understand. Because in the analysis of any stock, what you understand is very important. And if things are simple and you don't understand, it is of no use to you. So you cannot make money in the market with my understanding. I mean, you can make money with your understanding. So what is important is to back your own understanding, and you can have only as many stocks you understand. And nobody understands 4,000 stocks. You have to find that 5, 10, 15 stocks where you have some kind of edge. For whatever reason, your brother is working, your dad was working, you are coming from that particular business, or you have the neighborhood or something. But if you don't understand the businesses, don't get into that. And second, I think this is a turbulent time. A lot of small businesses are challenged. So what is happening is that this is the time when consolidation will happen big time. A lot of small companies which were competing with the big ones, they will have tough time in coping up with the competition from the big guys. And large but not managed well financially or whatever, they will also have very challenging time. So if you say the very good ones are say 50-60% of the economy, 10-20% are large but not managed well, and another 1/3 is very small, and very small means they have their own issues of the competition. So almost 1/3 of the economy, I would say, is going to fold up some portion of it into the well-managed large companies, one way or other. So I think this is a time to look at the winners. I think market is very smart. I was talking to one pipe company. So the CFO tells me that Ramdev, if I am doing 1,000 crores and there was another pipe guy, chota guy, who was doing say 100 crores worth of pipe, I am making on 10% on 1,000 crores, 100 crores. That guy is barely struggling. I mean, he'll be with all the herapheri and all, he would be making barely any money, say 1%, 2%. But now he's shutting the shop. So what is happening is when his 100 crore comes to me, I make 15%. So the same turnover is going to make far more profits, but the profit is not going to be with him. The profit is going to be made by the big guy. So you have to see in this era of consolidation, only in this, more it is prolonged, more consolidation will happen.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the winners of the consolidation, and that will happen in every business, unless the business is completely made up of 2-3 guys, like say two-wheeler. I mean, 3 guys, 4 guys. उसमें तो क्या consolidation? सबके सब अच्छे हैं, सबके सब healthy हैं. But otherwise, second, there is not going to be any birth of new competitor. At this point of time, this is not the period when a new telecom company is launched or new two-wheeler companies are launched. सब घर में बैठे रहेंगे, कोई नया ब्रांड नहीं आने वाला, कुछ नहीं आने वाला. So आपको नए से competition नहीं है, पुराने से if you are weak, then also there is a problem. So the winners, and if the management has the energy, they are going to win big time. So the portfolio should be tilted towards winners, of course, irrespective of size, but winners, and if they are really leaders and larger, I think in this storm, the large and winning guys will survive, and the small and weak guys, they will have tough time. So that's so this is what I wanted to touch upon. I think I'll close my remarks. We'll take questions. Thank you.
Right. Now, participants, if you want to ask questions, you can click on the question mark button on the top of your screen, and we will take some of them depending on the time available. Now, Ramdevji, going by your QLGP or some other criteria, filtering criteria,
Yeah.
barely some 50 to 70 or 80 companies may sort of pass the test so far. Probably that is a hunch, but may not be too far from truth. So, the typical retail investor will have a very small portion in the blue chips or the large caps, and he'll try to make money in the mid and small caps. And this is where he has got his hands and fingers burnt very massively over the last few years. So now, do we have some sort of advice for them?
I mean, from where we ended, we have to again start from there. See, the point is, see, in investing, there are two things. One is the fun of investing, and second is serious money making. आपको वो दोनों अलग करना पड़ेगा. If it is a pastime for you, then you don't bother about the end result. You are playing bridge for fun, that's okay. But when you play a competitive bridge, then it's a different ball game. You are into competition, you are looking rank, this, that. So that's a very different thing. So I would think that this game of stock market looks simple, but very difficult to execute. If you are trying to make 12, 13%, 14%, I don't think you need to really get into this. It's a full-time job. And it is becoming competitive. You're competing with the machine, you're competing with the index, you're competing with the active managers, and you're competing with passives. Your whole lot of sophisticated competition has come. You're competing with the global, you're competing with local, and big money bags are competing. So you have, see, you being small is also an advantage. You know, I mean, the kind of companies you can pick up early stage and all that, typically till it goes into $1 billion plus, typically professional money managers don't even bother about it. I come across so many companies, their biggest botheration is, sir, can you cover my company? Can you take us in front of money managers? You know, they want to become very quickly from 1,000 to 7,000, 8,000. I said, just keep doing your stuff every quarter. Somebody will find you. You are a beautiful girl, somebody will come and marry you. So वो होता ही है. हमने बहुत सारे कंपनी देखे हैं जो the moment companies keep doing well 4 quarters, 5, 6 quarters, I think 5, 6 quarters is maximum, and then the line starts. So I think for retail guys, I think their niche into mid and small, they should not leave. My only suggestion is that they must stick to what they understand. they must not take the tip and go and buy. That's very dangerous, I'm telling you. Very, very dangerous. It is better to give me the money to me or somebody advised by you. You know, that's much better. Your money is in safe hands, organized way. Maybe you'll make 1 or 2% lower because of fee or something, but you are absolutely safe, liquid T+1 money. But if you really want to have fun and actually enjoy your position, please stick to what you understand. Do your little bit of research and do it. If you want to buy a cement company, go and talk to the stockist or distributor nearby and have a cup of tea 3-4 times. You will know much more about the company than what the MD of the company can tell you. So I mean, we don't. Our real research is not with the MDs of the company. They are always with the dealers and distributors of the companies. I think they have their own edge of they can be insiders also because they know so much about the companies. The dealers of the companies, they know as much as about the company as anybody. So there is a way to make money as a small guy, and you can have a very informal circle, discuss with them and figure. But don't go just for the tip types कि इसका इतना बढ़ने वाला है, उतना बढ़ने वाला है, and you end up collecting the junk. And let me tell you, stock market is only about compounding. And bad companies don't compound, they decompound. Finally, over a period of time, the only difference between gold and stock market is this: the good stocks compound and bad stocks decompound. Gold only compounds at whatever pace.
Yeah.
Pardon?
At a lower rate,
So,
probably.
yeah, rate could be low, 2%, 3%, 4%, but there is no surprise. You buy it in Mumbai, you buy it in Raipur, you buy it in Jabalpur, the price is same and the end result after 10 years is also same. Whereas in stocks, you end up buying some junk, and so many junk is there today. I mean, out of 4,000, I would say 3,000 chune jaise bhi nahi as an investment. I mean, more than 3,000. As you said, 70, 80, I would say the list could be expanded to 250, 300 for me. Okay. So it is very, and in India, nothing dies, nothing, no registered office is closed. It is always there. 1 rupee, 2 rupee, here and there, some trading is on, and people get, sucked by that.
Correct. Penny stocks.
Penny stocks. So I think you have to be very careful about your money. In the low price stocks, it is the most dangerous. I don't want to name, but recently at 12 bucks, I said somebody that it can lose only 5-6 rupees, and upside is like 50 bucks. 1:4, 1:5 kind of opportunities there. Actually, it lost 10 bucks out of 12 bucks. I mean, I was so wrong. So what I'm saying is that even with our kind of knowledge, competence, and seriousness, you can be so much wrong in the junk stocks. So don't bet on knowing the future too much. Wherever you have the good management, good business, and reasonable price. I mean, actually, you need 3 things simple: good business, good management, and a reasonable price. That's it, and you are done. If you have an eye for good management, you will never go wrong.
Sure. In this volatile time, investors are finding it difficult to forecast earnings, basically, and to be valued, because valuation concepts also keep changing from time to time. And there is always this regulatory hangover. Suddenly, some regulation will come which will sort of disrupt your whole business model. So, how do you cope with such uncertainties?
Some of the problems will come irrespective. This risk, see why we call it risk? Because risk has way to find you, and the risk which you can define is not the risk at all. That's how I look at it. The risk is वो ऐसा भूत है जिसके बारे में किसी को कुछ मालूम ही नहीं, कितना बड़ा है, क्या कलर है, किस शेप में आएगा, कब आएगा, मालूम नहीं. But the risk will find you. आप सो रहे हो, जग रहे हो, कहीं कहीं आपको पकड़ के पीटेगा. So you have to conduct yourself in such a way कि like one of the ways in the stock market to stay away from this dragon is not to be leveraged. If you're not leveraged, he cannot do anything. He can bring my 100 rupees to 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 50 rupees, और क्या कर लेगा? उतना ही बदमाशी कर सकता है ना वो. Market will always come and challenge your conviction. हम इतने बड़े, मतलब बहुत बड़े रिसर्चर हो गए, हम बोलते हैं ये कंपनी में ऐसा होगा. जैसे ही हम खरीदते हैं, वो बाजार आपको आके आपको चैलेंज करेगा कि भाई ये गलत है, वो गलत है, और आपके खुद के बंदे आके बोलेंगे अरे सर उसका तो ऐसा है, उसका ऐसा हो गया, वैसा हो गया, और सब मिला के आपको शेयर आपके हाथ से छीन के ले जाएंगे, और नहीं तो अच्छी कंपनी वाले बाय बैक करके ले जाएंगे आपसे। You know, at $500, when Lever came out with a buyback, 500, 600 rupees, I think price was about 470. They offered some 100 rupees higher. So a lot of people, they asked me, I said, boss, देखो ये 20% जो लालच दे रहा है वो लोग, ये तो है तो बहुत भयंकर चीज, मतलब to leave 20% on the table is very, मतलब जनरली इतना होता नहीं है, बट मुश्किल क्या है कि मैं आपको बोलूंगा तुम ले लो, तो जो पैसा आएगा उससे तुम पूरा जंग खरीदने वाले हो।
Yeah.
Lever you have kept for 30-40 years and it has serviced you very well.
Correct.
So यदि मेरी मान हो तो मत बेचो आप। अच्छा, आप लीवर बेच के नेस्ले खरीदने वाले नहीं हो,
हाँ,
है ना? आप लीवर बेच के क्या खरीदोगे? कोई कुल जरूर कुछ ऐसा सस्ता शेयर कुछ खरीद लोगे, और दैट
Yeah.
विल डिकम्पोज। Whereas if Lever itself is buying Lever shares, means they have a big plan of compounding. And so I advise people against, but मेरा भी दिल नहीं बोलता था कि 20% कैसे छोड़ दें करके। तो what I'm saying is that this compounding and decompounding का जो कहानी है between good and bad, one
Yeah.
has to keep in the mind.
Sure. Now we will take some questions from the audience. There is a question saying that what is the future of banks in a span of 1 or 2 years from now?
1 or 2 years, very, very difficult to say. I see bank or financial system is the heart of any economy.
Yeah.
If you ask me, for a healthy body or a healthy country, I mean, there is no negotiation about healthy financial system. Any family or any person, I mean, the first thing is how healthy he is in terms of finance. So why about any country or why about any country? A country is good or bad. It depends on how good is the finances and financial system. So banks are right at the center of the financial system, and particularly in India, banks are the absolute, I mean, first point of lending of all the savings. 30% savings is banks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, mutual fund, insurance, and all are there a little bit here and there, but basically bulk of the savings still land in the banks. So the banks are the machine which redistributes the national savings, that is the mother's milk, through the economy, through the private enterprises, through the government securities and all. They finance the government also. So it is very important that banking system is in a very clean and healthy shape.
Yeah.
But you may not be concerned about the health of the banks. You might be concerned about the stock price of the banks. You know, because if you buy today, what is going to happen? What is going to happen after 1.5 years? I have no clue. But I am loaded with all the good banks. I own all the good banks, which everybody knows, and we are loaded with that. See, and second thing is, don't buy second-rate lenders. You can buy second-rate cement company. You can buy third-rate steel company at very cheap rates, but don't buy third-rate lenders.
Yeah.
वो मतलब आप घर में सिर्फ liability लेके आ रहे हो.
Leverage will kill you.
Leverage will kill you because it is 10:1, no, 12:1. तो मतलब आप अपना ही नहीं डुबाए हो, आप तो पूरा गांव से 12 लोग को पैसा लाके डुबा दिए फिर.
Sure.
So even 5-6% net NPA can finish you up.
Sure.
So my suggestion is that yes, it is the bottom will be made by financials, and after that, the fastest and the biggest wealth will be created by financials. अब ये है कि आपको कैसे खेलने का है. So I would say that first you understand what are the good ones, and then maybe you can do a SIP starting from here or something.
Yeah.
And take your chance, because they are already corrected by 30-40%, 50%. So you're not buying at the top, and they will gain from the loss of the businesses to other weak banks as it opens up. So I think on an average, you'll buy at reasonable prices.
Sure. Now there is another question by Mr. Dave. He says, Sirji, retired senior citizen, how he will make wealth? Now this is very pertinent question for a lot of investors.
Yeah, it is. It is a very pertinent question. The issue is that the wealth manager must be very smart. Either you are, I mean, most of the time in India, the client himself is a wealth manager. He doesn't delegate this power to anybody.
Yeah.
But you have to wear that hat of wealth manager and ask yourself how much risk you can take, because India is a risky country and that equity is even more riskier. So you got to be very careful how much you are allocating. First thing is, don't jeopardize your future by doing too much equity in your portfolio. You must make sure of say 5-6% whatever you get in the fixed income. You must first secure your future with some amount of fixed income, and make sure that you don't buy junk equity, because junk equity will decompound. We want compounding machines. Now, compounding machines finding across your portfolio is not a that easy a job unless you are master of it. So I'm presuming that you are not master of it. You are reasonably new or novice to the game. I would think that very, very sincerely find a good wealth manager who will help you allocate your capital well and plan your play as per your requirement, and go about, I would say 20%, 25% equity, 30% equity, and bulk of it in the fixed income kind of situation. And fixed income you can do in various. It's not that only bank deposits are the one. There are various ways of doing your fixed income. Secure your future, and then go about taking the risk. And then you can, once you start the game, and as you make it, I mean, these are good times to start and allocate. And in better times will come when the 1/3 becomes 50-60%. You can again recalibrate and again reduce the risk and go about building it up. So, I mean, that's how you have to play. I mean, little bit of aggression and a lot of conservatism.
Sure. Now there is an opposite question, in the sense that Mr. Jashan Singh is asking, what are your suggestions for young newcomers in the market? That is number one. And number two is, what are the forthcoming themes that will shine in the post-COVID world? So he has two questions.
See, young guys have a fantastic chance. I mean, I started when India was bankrupt. We didn't have, I mean, currency was, I mean, like, okay, that time conversion rate was 30-35, but it was really a rare commodity. The Forex was a foreign country, Forex was a rare thing. Today, we are fully integrated with the world. We have $500 billion of reserve climbing. So India is actually emerging. So for young guys, the career wise, every wise, it is global opportunity. It is no more local opportunity. So opportunities are massive. You don't have the kind of joblessness which was there in 80s and all. Despite everything, there is a massive job creation here. There, if you are very, very good in your profession, you are being also paid good dollar salaries. Future is very bright for the young guys. So, and this is the time to build your portfolio, because compounding happens. Compounding has two things. One is the rate of interest, rate of compounding, and second is time you are spending on that. That is extremely important. So if you are young, 25, you start with 10-20,000 per month, and into simple. I mean, the way you are going at the age of 60, that 5-10,000 rupees per month will make you amongst the richest among your guys, our colleagues, your colleagues. And one of the things I have seen is that all the guys who are dedicated employees of any of these companies, they don't have time to take care of their own finances. And I meet enough of them, so many of them. I feel so bad. I mean, they have given literally their life 24/7 to the companies. And I think companies should take care of their finances properly. In return, companies should assign a wealth manager to these senior guys, so that somebody they can get professional help into managing their money, and putting some time out there and giving some structure. Because at early stage, if you take care of your money and you put into equities, see, because if you are at the age of 25 and for, I would say, first 15 years, you put bulk of your savings into equities, howso good bad you do it, I think you are just going to make to the bank. I'm telling you big time. Don't be conservative at the beginning of the career. I would say till about 40 for a healthy, normal guy. I'm saying till about 40, there is no question of looking at anything else. Just buy equities and buy Indian equities. That would be my suggestion, but maybe it might be sounding a little aggressive.
Yeah, and the things that will run post COVID.
It's all across. As I said, I mean since 1987 and all we are seeing, there are some always evergreen kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of sectors are evergreen, like financials are always evergreen. There will always be 20-30% of the portfolio will always be financials. Then there's consumer companies, FMCG. That's see anything around Indian consumer. The Indian consumer is the most bankable lot in the world. I'm telling you today. This 130 crore population, उसका जो 65% of the income है, वो तो consume होगा ही होगा, चाहे product हो चाहे services हो. So we have to build portfolio around that. All the companies which are part of your life, and you are also a consumer, you can see what you are consuming day in day out, and build your portfolio around that. And say like digital services, I mean, we use telephone and all, but I'm not a great like setting up this webinar screen. I needed little help from my son. So what I'm saying is that, but we are living off this webinar screens. You know, so the technology is so much getting into this thing. The telephone has become everything. You cannot not have the telephone around you for even half an hour. So so tech is unknowingly coming around you. So the tech will do very well, you know, going forward. So in terms of sectors, a lot of new opportunities will keep coming up, but a lot of old ones will also do very well. So you keep building one by one. There is no one. I mean, this COVID doesn't change the. I mean, it's more of the same going forward. I can say only one thing: the good will win over the bad companies in a much more pronounced way in this 24 months.
Right. Now there is a question from Mr. Bhatia, who says that large caps are still at a very high level, and they have not fallen to the extent one would have expected. So is it advisable to continue to invest in large caps or go for some bottom fishing in larger mid caps or mid caps?
As I said, it all depends on your understanding. I'm telling you, you cannot say something is overpriced or underpriced unless you understand. How do you know? In your pocket, you have a diamond pen. I don't know what is diamond. So I will say it is okay, hoga bhai, 1000 rupees ka hoga. And it turns out that it is worth a crore or something. So it all depends, you know, what is your understanding of the things. So I mean, there's no general advice like this. I mean, a very large cap. I mean, like today, telecom is in the forefront. You cannot find a small and mid cap in telecom, you know. So, but in a lot of other businesses, the business itself is smaller. A lot of export companies. I mean, there are some businesses which are, say, as I say, plastic processing and all. A lot of rural-oriented businesses. I mean, they are large mid caps and things like that. So, but you must. I mean, instead of the size, what is more important is where my understanding is more. Of course, if my understanding is good and there is a very large company and there is a mid-sized company, probably I might pick up.
Sure. Now there is one more interesting question from Mr. Rao. Do you recommend investing in PSUs at such attractive levels, as at some point they will be privatized? I think there is a technical issue on Mr. Ramdev's side. We'll try and resolve it. Yeah, we'll try and reconnect with him in the next few minutes. Let's see whether we are able to do that. Just hold on. Just be a little patient in the meanwhile. Yeah, he's back. One sec. We can see you, but we cannot hear you so far. No, no, your audio is still not on. We can see you. Yes, we can see you, but your audio is not on so far. We cannot hear you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think we are having him back. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, we are trying to solve the technical issue. So, in the meanwhile, please wait and be a little patient. A lot of other questions. There are a lot of questions on in strategies one should adopt at this point of time. Now, a lot of things have already been covered by Mr. Agarwal in his earlier part of his talk. Uh, how to go about investing in this current scenario, bottom fishing or buy and hold. Most of these questions have been already dealt with by Mr. Agarwal so far. There are a few ones which are not repetitive. So in case we are able to get him back, we'll definitely ask him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Now, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back. Yeah. We had a small glitch. No problem. Now, so basically the question was on PSU. We missed you after
Ah,
that. Huh.
so what are the question? I'm just I've got a little.
PSU, should we look at buying this PSUs at such beaten down valuations because ultimately they are going to be divested or privatized?
Yeah. Uh, I mean, going by the history of our divestment, I'll wait for these companies to be divested. I mean, if you are very sure that it is going to be divested, say BPCL or Concor or something is, if you are 100%, see, it's all about the probability. I mean, government actions more because of the current conditions or whatever. If they're not able to push through, then you are into value trap for a very long time. So these are great businesses, great companies, but it requires a much more tighter management, and that happens the moment it is auctioned off, and you make a lot of money after the auction. So I mean, I am going to buy in my funds after the companies are sold out. That much I can tell you. Before that, I mean, I'll also see who has bought it, because
Sure.
quite possible that some crazy guy has bought it. So mostly good guys are going to buy it at this juncture now. So if the great managements are coming in, because the problem is not with the business, problem is the quality of management, or the concern for wealth creation. In public sector, their mandate is not to create wealth; their mandate is to run the companies. Whereas in private sector, the moment these guys are paying some crazy sum to buy the controlling interest, they are not only trying to earn what they're paid, and they will also try to create even further wealth. And in that process, will make a lot of money. So I would suggest that you wait till this divestment is done, and D plus day, I mean, D plus 15 years would be the far better than D minus 2. People want to buy a little early. So I have learned one thing: never buy into certainty, don't buy into uncertainty. Why you're making it uncertain and then certain? Buy into certainty only. That would be my strategy.
Sure. The next question is that Mr. Warren Buffett also suggests investing in index funds only. So, do
Yeah.
you think India is a different ball game altogether, where we have alpha generation possibilities? So that is why we should look at stocks also and not just index funds.
Yeah. So here the track record in India so far has been very good. 60, 70%, 75% of the funds outperform, at least looking back last 5, 10 years. I mean, that is no guarantee that in next 5, 10 years also they'll outperform. So
Yeah.
you have to keep watching whether your fund manager has a good track record, what kind of stocks he's buying, and don't hesitate to see 90%, 80 to 90% of the money is made in equities by being in equities.
Hmm.
So the index itself makes you about 90%, or I would say 80% for sure. Say आपका 15% का see 14-15% is a long-term average. That is for the index. And if somebody gives you 5% outperformance, that makes, so what happens is 75 to 80% of the money is made because you're in the index. You don't have to bother about whom to buy, whom not to buy. So if you give up that top 25% return, in that case, most consistently you'll be making at least the index return. So this is how, I mean, Americans, they realize that they don't have time and patience to figure out who's going to win in next 5-10 years. And let's get into only Dow or Nasdaq or S&P 500. When you buy index, you buy the very broad one, so that any business which does well, small, big, mid, black, white, everything participates in your portfolio, little. Over a period of time, whatever compounds or decompounds, that is the journey of the nation, and you make money. And hence, the concept of passive investing will come. And the guys who don't have wherewithal to figure out whom to give money, who's my wealth manager, this, that, just decide 50% debt and 50% equity. And equity, you go and buy BSE Sensex or Nifty or S&P 500 and just be done with. So that will take care of your debt part, equity part of it. And debt part also, then you must be having some suggestion, on which I don't have suggestion, but you can find some easy way to get into debt funds also. So I mean, at one level, you have to keep it very simple also.
Sure. Now we have a lot of other questions, but we'll take the last question.
Yeah.
One question is about how do you, as a layman, do we have the capacity to judge good businesses or good managements? So can you give us some tips, 2 or 3 factors that we should consider to arrive at a conclusion whether a particular business or a management is good?
Yeah, there's a damn good question. It's a full day question. Okay. I mean, I spent 35 years in doing just these two things, you know. So let me try my best foot here. This is my subject. And so, you know, terrific business run by terrific management. That's what makes you outstanding companies. Basically, finding few outstanding companies early in the game or at the middle of the game. I mean, every company has limited life of prosperity, 25, 30, 40, 50 years. There are very few companies which keep prospering beyond this kind of a timeline. So catching them young is very important, but finding outstanding companies is what really makes it. And as Buffett says, there are 20 punch hole in your life, and you are going to get every 2-3 years one of them. And when you get them, back up your truck and buy them. Now, how do you figure out good business? Good business is a business where the company keeps making money day in, day out, and the productivity of the capital is very high. Say your risk-free rate is say 5, 6, 7%, maybe 10%. So if a company is making 15, 20%, I like more than 20%. A company which is consistently making 20%, all the 5 years he has made more than 20%, and 10 years it is making more than 20% every year. That company has some magical tool with himself in that business, which nobody has. Now, what is that magical tool? You have to understand that. And the longevity of that formula. Is it one particular person out there, or does he has the lowest cost strategy? He has an iron ore mine and he has a coal mine that is making him derive another 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees EBITDA more on the same amount of capital, which is giving him 10, 12%, 12, 15% additional return. Or he's the lowest cost cement producer. Like say Sri Cement yesterday, he was talking about 1 to 100, you know, because he's just focused on to lowest cost production and many other things, but at the end it delivers the lowest cost production on a scaled up version. So you have to figure out what is that magic tool the entrepreneur has, and that's why that goodness comes actually from the superiority of the management. Very rarely, very bad management will deliver fantastic return year on year. So so the good businesses you can see from there, and it's not that disconnected that between good business and good management. But few traits of good management is that management is very competent. In India, almost everybody is competent, and the competence you can see from that money making capability of the companies and differentiated. I mean, what the customers are saying, are the people lining up in this COVID time, whose products are in short supply, where is the premium? Like in 95, I bought Hero Motocorp, and one of the reason was that for every, I mean, if you wanted to buy spot delivery for the bike, there were 3,000, 5,000 rupees premium on 20,000 rupees bike.
Yeah.
And it was not for 1 or 2 months. It was for the months, ages. It was there. I said, boss, ye banate kya hai, sir? You know.
Yeah.
So then you go to visit the plant, try to understand what it is, then understand the economics. So some of the products like say Maggi noodles and all, I mean, at this point of time, I think they couldn't punch enough. They couldn't produce enough. So, you know, great business and great management. So great management, one is the competence of the management in producing a fantastic product and service, which customers they love, they line up. And second, they have competence, and second is a passion. I mean, are they passionate about it? Not only they do it, but they also very passionate about it, doing it for the whole life. I mean, the Federer, I don't think he's playing just like that. I mean, at this age of 38, 39, beating all the youngies in Wimbledon, you know, I mean, how much passion it takes to be there and beat all the rounds, elimination round, and make it to the final and win it handsome. And right till end, till 5 minutes, you don't know whether he's going to win or lose. It's almost that kind of thing. So you need that kind of passion. You see the passion maximum in this Virat Kohli and Federer and Sachin Tendulkar. So that kind of passion, I mean, there are enough Virat Kohlis in the businesses, and they only make it to the, you know, so competence, passion, and perseverance. You know, I mean, good value system. Good value system in India is not what you call is not appreciated fully, but it is there in the P multiple. A terrific value system, passionate growing company or management will never be available cheap, because it is like a 10 carat diamond. People are willing to pay. They know the 1 carat diamond price. They don't know what is the 10 carat diamond. And you go and ask in the jewelry market, 10 carat diamond is not 10x of 1 carat. It is not 25x of the 1 carat. It could be 100x of 1 carat diamond. So, you know, understanding that part of it, the terrific value system, because value system has a lot of sacrifices and it is very difficult to practice.
Sure.
So you're competent, you're passionate, and you have terrific value system. So you attract a lot of good clients, good employees, and that only allows the entire concept to become much, much bigger in the years to come when the opportunity size is very big. So that's how you have to see the business opportunity and what it takes to win. And is there enough winners in the system? See, if the business doesn't have money, there is no point in breaking your head. Howsoever is the brilliant guy. I mean, if there is no money in a business, टाटा बिरला अंबानी तीनों आ जाए तो भी नहीं बन सकता पैसा. आई कैन टेल यू दिस. जैसे आप यदि बनारस में जाके यदि तेल खोजने जाएंगे तो आपको तेल नहीं मिलेगा, और सऊदी अरब में गंगा जल खोजेंगे तो गंगा जल नहीं मिलेगा. you have to find where the money is in that particular business. So in America, two-wheeler business doesn't make money. In India, two-wheeler makes a lot of money. You have a lot of blue chips in. So it is also important that in which country which business does well. I mean, Google can be made only in US, not in India.
Yeah.
So देखना पड़ेगा आपको कहाँ पर से understanding of business prospects and profitability, profit pool of the business, and then the competitive force coming from the management. When this combination happens, then that gives birth to a wonderful company. Now then the problem in the stock market is every day price is quoted. And it's not that you only know it's a good company. The world knows about the good company. And hence it is expensive. Now, how do you negotiate with the price is a slightly more complicated game.
Yeah. A superb answer to interesting question to round up this discussion. Thank you, Mr. Ramdev Agarwal, for being with us. Participants, I hope you all loved this webinar and got something to learn from it. We hope that. Thank you. We will keep doing this such interesting webinars in future also. Thank you and all the best.
Thanks.